Hi, it's Teresa with Crafty with Teresa. Thank you so much for joining me today. Well, in today's video, I'll be showing you some of the April Inked Occasions card kit that was originally from Paper Pumpkin, and now Stampin' Up! Has taken over these cards. Now, the kit is available monthly. I'll double check, but I do believe you have to be a subscriber to get the refills. But the good news is you can suspend the subscription at any point. But once you subscribe, the refills are available to you. I believe it's usually the 10th of the following month. So if you have this kit already, stick with me. And if you haven't already had a chance to make the cards, you really want to make these. These cards are beautiful. I'll show you the designs that came directly from the kit. Plus, in today's video, we'll be going over some of the alternatives as well. So, and I also threw in a few tips along the way. So enough of my chatting. Let's get to crafting. The first card that I'm going to be showing you, we're going to show a few techniques. We're going to show a technique of using watercolor pencils, black Versamark ink, and clear embossing powder. And this design is actually from page 24 of the Stampin' Up! Catalog. However, the catalog itself, I can actually show you these images and these sketches after May 6th. So you will see those if you already have the catalog. If not, May 6th, they'll be available for everyone to see. Now let's take a look. Here's the envelope. Isn't it just beautiful? It matches so well with these cards. As well as here's card number 1. It says hugs. You'll see here that instead of embellishments, they have actually used those little butterflies. I actually drew the little antenna on them. I don't know why. I just felt like they looked like they needed it. So I added that. But this first card is straight out of the kit. And isn't it just gorgeous? The next card actually comes with a die cut. And of course, you'll see here that, we've added the words thinking of you here, but it's really, really very simple. This is the second card as is, and you just attach that die cut to the front. Now, the third card has the gold in it, which I really like. I feel like congratulations is perfect for this because it could be wedding, could be congratulations on anything, promotion, anything. So those are the ones that are straight out of the kit. And then next we'll go ahead and start working on the first alternative. Now I chose this card sketch for a few reasons. Our group is participating in a monthly creative challenge. Each month, we'll be taking these sketches and creating our own designs from them. The bonus is we'll also do scrapbooking sketches, which is on page 28 of the catalog. I'm more of a card maker, but I am going to start putting more and more of the scrapbooking into my YouTube videos. I'm enjoying that quite a bit. Now, the focal point here on this card sketch is a tag. I don't have tag dies, however, there are some available in the last chance list, and they're called something fancy dies. I do have some new border dies, so I'm going to take a piece of basic white cardstock and use one of my wavy borders to create my own tag. Now, I wanted to use my watercolor pencils, so I grabbed my black Versamark ink and I stamped it, and then I grabbed my clear embossing powder. I covered it and then grabbed my heat tool and set it. Now, I'll take a minute to heat set it, and then we'll have this beautiful design on our tag. Oh, and these flowers are from the Simply Zinnia, which I believe has retired. But I wanted to share with you that in the new catalog, there are beautiful flowers all throughout the catalog, and the ones that I'm going to be using quite a bit is the Gallery Blooms. The colored pencils that I used to color our Flirty Flamingo, Garden Green, and Gorgeous Grape. I'm not doing any special coloring here. I'll basically color them as they are. The leaves will be in that garden green, and that floral design will be with the Flirty Flamingo and Gorgeous Grape. Not a lot of shadowing or shading, just real basic coloring here. Now, while I'm doing this coloring kind of quickly, I wanted to share a little bit more about the challenge. The challenge that we're going through in our group is each month, and I'll show a screen capture here of kind of the dates. It would be the first Saturday of the month. We'll be displaying something from the catalog, a sketch of a card. Sometimes there'll be tags, other times it'll be scrapbook layouts, or you can do one or any or all. But each one of us in our group are looking at how we can take those and come up with our own ideas based on the sketch. And you know me, if you've been watching me for a while, I tend to deviate a tad and make changes along the way, but I generally do like to start with a sketch. So this is a perfect challenge for me. Now, what I like to do on my channel is I like to show you options. Here I have taken a blender pen and I'm going to take the Berry Burst Stampin' Spot and I'm actually going to use that to color in some flowers. Now, so you'll kind of get a sneak peek of the next card that we'll be going over. However, really what I wanted to do here was just show you that you have options. You can either use watercoloring techniques, or you can actually use the blender pen and the ink spot that comes in the kit. Now, as we start to put this card together, I thought I'd go ahead and grab some of the embellishments I plan to use. I have some new embellishments as well as some from my stash that are silver, and I like some of these motif dots that I've recently received. Now I'll kind of fiddle around and try to figure out which one I like best as I start to put this together. I finally decide on the beautiful motif dots to make it look like a little faux hole at the top of the tag. Now I'll grab one of the butterflies and one of the dragonflies and place them around the flowers, the zinnias. Then I'll add my tag and my circles to this beautiful watercolored cutout piece from the card kit. I'm not sure if I mentioned this earlier, but I actually took the card bases and I cut some of them to 4 by 5 1/4 so that I could stretch my supplies. Another tip for you if you're a card maker. And on some of the cards, I actually used a frame, and we'll talk about that in just a minute on our next card. So there you have it. I think it turned out great. Now let's move on to our second alternate card. My plan for this card is it's going to be a Mother's Day card. And because I like to be frugal with these beautiful watercolor designs, I actually gutted one of the card bases. In my case, I had a rectangular frame, but you could just gut the card base and cut it 4 by 5 1/4 off of the inside, which leaves you that small little frame around the outside edge. Now, because I want to make this a little bit of an elegant card, I'm actually going to take a smaller frame and I'm going to cut some white cardstock. I'm lining it up and I'll cut some white cardstock to put inside that small watercolor frame. Now I'm going to end up doing this several different ways, but the way that I'm showing you here is I created kind of a little lip. So that white cardstock is actually cut at 4 3/4 by 5 1/2. And I'll need 2 other things to go along with that, but let me just show you real quick a tip. Sometimes when you get the card kits, you'll get a set of dies that are already cut for you, which is fantastic. However, it's kind of hard sometimes to line them up. So what I wanted to show you is you have options. Obviously, you can stamp it directly onto that white die cut. Some of you are great at just lining that up and stamping it onto that die cut. But for those of us that struggle with it and you might need a little assistance, here's what I do. I actually take the white negative space, I put some berry burst color onto it to give it kind of an outline. I'll put some double-sided tape on the back of the actual opening, and then I put the pre-cut die cut right back in where it came out. That way I can kind of see it a little bit better as to where I need to stamp the thinking of you sentiment that I'm using in this example. I just wanted to take a minute to show you that tip because sometimes it helps me line up things if I have a little bit darker color on the outside. So I hope this was helpful. Now here is where I'm going to take and cut a few pieces to go along with this card. I need the white piece that I mentioned already, which is 4 3/4, and it has that little scored area. It's going to be kind of a sandwich, I would call it. And I'm going to have the 2 pieces so that you can't see the scored strip. In hindsight, I had a better idea later, but this is where I'm going with this for now. It still works. It's still beautiful. So the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut that vellum down to 4 and 5 1/4. So I will go ahead and start sandwiching that in. I'll get all the pieces together. I'll glue it down. I kind of start in small areas first, and that's how I kind of start this, but I just do it very lightly. Now, the one thing I am going to do also is I wanted to put a pretty background inside that vellum on the vellum itself. So what you see here is I'm taking that berry burst and a blender, and I'm going to actually outlined it onto just a scrap piece of paper so I could kind of play around and decide how I wanted to that pretty blending area to look in the back and still be able to see those pretty flowers and not take away from anything. So I just kind of picked 3 little spots and I used that little blending area to do it. Now I'm going to grab my silicone mat and I'll start doing that gluing, and like I said, I'm basically just sandwiching this. I'm going to glue that piece down that has the vellum on it. You have to be careful with vellum because sometimes that glue will show through. And as I said, later on I thought of a different idea on this, but this works too. So now I've got that cute little vase. I'm going to kind of seal it a little bit at the bottom. I'm trying to figure out how much of the flowers I want to put in there. Oh, one other tip. Also grab you a set of reverse tweezers and use that to keep that opening so that you still have the ability to put those flowers in there. I stamped another flower, colored it in with the blending brush and the berry burst. And so now I have 2 actual sets of flowers coming out of that little vase. I'll fidget and fidget. This is what I do because I do these videos as I'm designing in my head, and I always think of those things after the fact, those great hindsight things. And so I'll fidget and fidget until I kind of decide how I want to do this. I'll fussy cut off those green leaves because I decided I was not going to actually use those green leaves, not even to be fillers. I'm just going to take those away and just put the flowers. Now I'll put that second one down because that's the one that you're going to see on the inside of the card. And that covers up that little lip that I thought it needed. I actually really intentionally did put some thought into this because I thought we needed to have a little heavier frame there. And so I did want to make sure that it had a little bit of stability to it. Now, I grabbed from my sentiments that I have on hand that says Happy Mother's Day. I'll take that blender pen again, lightly go around the outside edges to kind of make it show up on that white background. The other thing I did is in one of the old paper pumpkin kits, there was this beautiful green card, and I cut it down also to kind of conserve and reuse items for my stash. And I just cut it to a 1-inch strip, and what I'm going to do is that's going to be my landing piece for the vase and the sentiment. Now I have to be very careful because you want to make sure none of that glue shows up. So I'll just lightly put it around the edges. I did remember later that I wanted to have a little bit more of an opening on the side, so I just took my little tool. I don't recall the name of it, but I'll add it in the description box to just kind of get myself a little bit of an opening there. Cut that down just a tad, and now we have that landing for the little vase and the bouquet of flowers and our sentiment. Again, you have to be very careful. Light glue. That's why I like these cute little bottles. Now I'll start adding on dimensions. I'll put it onto the actual card base and fill out that opening, and this card will be ready to go. I just lay it down and then I put the frame over the top. And I work in little small sections on this also because you have to be careful. That frame is a little bit flimsy because of the fact that there's just not much to it. So there you have it, the next card and a few tips for you. I hope this was very helpful for you. Now what I did want to let you know, in hindsight, I remembered that I had intended to make this a two-fold card. So what you'll see is eventually, I did not need to put that second frame, but I do think for stability it was a good thought. But I ended up putting another card on the inside of this, which really made this a sturdy card, by the way. Because I realized, wait, I need to have a place for people to write their message. So you'll see how I did this. I created another card, I glued it on the inside, decorated it up a little bit, and now you'll be able to open the card. You'll see the card, the beautiful vellum, and now you'll see the card and be able to write your message, and it will not be seen through that vellum. Let me show you what I'm talking about. I wanted to just take a minute to show you all three, including the alternates that we were able to make using that same watercolor card design, some with the card bases, some with just the panels, and the one that came directly out of the kit. Which one's your favorite? I will tell you that my husband voted, and his favorite is the Zinnia's card number 2. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the second card. The second card is a Thinking of You card, and it comes with a die cut. Here I'll show you the die cut that comes with it, and really honestly, all you do is take that die cut and place it on the top, glue it down, and for embellishments, you stamp a few of the butterflies from the stamp set. These cards are beautiful, and I like that they make different designs. Now, I needed a different card, and that's how I plan my alternates. I wanted to create a card and have it ready to go for one of the ladies in my wine club. So how convenient that Stampin' Up! Has a Cheers and Sips stamp and die set bundle. Here's a look at the bundle, and we'll go ahead and get started. We'll grab our tag. I've already pre-cut the tag, and in this case I just created my own little cornered tag. I created a black tag, and then I also created one with white cardstock. I did a little ink blending around the outside of it since I've already done the ink blending. I didn't go over that here. And I also ink blended a little bit on the inside of that cocktail glass. Now, because I cut apart these card panels, I generally have little pieces of them left over. So what I did is I took one of the leftover pieces and I used it to make the little straws. I added the umbrella. Then last but not least, I needed the word cheers to go along with this card. So here's the finished card. Oh, and on the inside, I did add one of those die cut pieces that were available. I just cut them apart and used them on the inside of this card. Oh, and I also used the die cut piece on the last Mother's Day card on the inside of that also. So here's a look at the two cards that I made using that same background. Now for our last card, I'm going to just quickly show you the card that comes with the kit. I struggled a little bit with this card. It ended up turning out great, and I will show you that card here in this video as well. Now, this video took some time to put together, so it is going to go out on May the 6th. So the great thing is all of these things that I'm showing you are going to be in the catalog that comes out on May 6th. These die cuts, gallery blooms, these cheers and sips, and so much more. All of that information, again, will be added in the description box. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. If you haven't already subscribed, I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. If you could share this video, hit the like and comment on the video, as well as the notification button so you can see the new videos as they come in. So that's it for today. Thank you again for joining me, and until next time, have a great day.